What's up, Flannelverse? Got another fun stream for you today, bringing on one of the sharpest minds in best ball, Mike Leone, about to join momentarily for a Best Ball Mania draft on Underdog. I'll continue for probably one or two more drafts after that, maybe get 3 in today in total on this stream. Should be a good one. Want to remind you, if you have not already signed up to be a member on this channel, there is an Underdog Eliminator how-to behind the paywall on this channel. It's just $5 a month if you want to support the channel or want to check that out. It is just $5 a month. Some of you were gifted free memberships on the last stream, so you can check that out now as well. I just want to remind you to do that. But enough about that. We are going to bring Mike in here. Oh, I'm in the wrong. Hang on. Mike. Oh, how are we doing, Mike? Let me remove that. Good to have you on. I think just your second time on the stream. First time doing a Best Ball Mania draft together. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
There we go. Yeah. So I just suggested this literally 20 minutes ago to Mike. So Mike is part of, if you don't know Mike, he is at Establish the Run. He wrote the Best Ball Manifesto at Establish the Run, but he's part of the rankings team at ETR with Justin Herzig, Adam Levitan, et cetera, so does not get like to just do exactly what he wants in the rankings there. So I just suggested to Mike literally 20 minutes ago, and he just saw it as we were entering the stream, that maybe we could take a look at the ETR rankings and just kind of ask him some of the players that he's higher on than the rankings in general. And you have a couple in mind, right, Mike?
Yeah, I've got a couple of players in mind. Let me know if you just want me to kick off.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the first round, are there any that you're like significantly different than what you have in the first round?
So the guy at the 1-2 turn that I'm higher on than our ranks would be Devin Achane, where you can't really argue with any of our projection inputs there, but I just love the combination of year one seeing this amazing breakaway run ability that's very rare in the NFL level, and then year two getting the full workload, the reception volume that, maybe went unheralded a little bit because the team had OL issues. The team, had issues with quarterback health and whatnot. So if he can put both of those things together in a single year, I mean, he's a top 5 pick overall. Now there's risk, which is why he doesn't go top 5, but he's someone that at the 1-2 turn, willing to take a little bit of leap of faith on. It's tough because it really is the deepest first round into the beginning of the second round that, I remember in recent years.
Yeah. So, by the way, if any of you have not already checked out the Establish the Edge podcast that Leone does with Ben Gretsch, that's like one of the podcasts that I most look forward to every year. It's on YouTube. It's not on the ETR channel. It's Establish the Edge has its own channel. So going through each NFL division, come out like 2 of those per week, and it's just fantastic. They dive deep into how they come up with their projections for different teams. This is a discussion that you and Gretsch had, and it sounded like you're both super high on. Like I think Gretsch suggested like there's a world in which Achane scores 25 touchdowns, which like you just don't see from running backs in these this day and age. And yeah, so it sounded like he's somebody that you're both pretty high. He's actually like not that high in the ETR ranks. This sort of surprises me. So you clearly got a little bit overruled on Achane to have him, looks like mid-second round here.
Yeah, and our ranks, just so people realize how they work, like we go through a process where we give everybody a base projection and a ceiling projection, and then the rankings themselves are kind of derived from that. So we're not like manually slotting in people, which is different than others do it. Sure. But this allows us to send our ranks everywhere with the same set of inputs, which we can capture things like, oh, we're higher on Brock Bowers on this site and lower on this site. Like we can capture, that's a market dynamic. It's not an us thing because our inputs are the same, which is nice. But again, I mentioned how loaded the 1-2 turn it can be. So the inputs are pretty sensitive there. I think if I was drafting just like in a single draft, I'd probably take Achane ahead of AJ Brown, who we have there, and then maybe ahead of Derrick Henry as well. It's tough to get him like too much higher. If I was in a redraft home league and I only had one draft to do, though, I think I'd be, chomping at the bit to get him at the 1-2 turn as an anchor running back.
Yeah, absolutely. Another player you mentioned is Emeka Egbuka. Is that were you already higher than the field on Emeka Egbuka, or is that kind of Chris Godwin being hurt worrying you a little bit?
The Godwin Injury news, honestly, is a little bit annoying for me because I was already higher on an
Okay.
Egbuka, and that's just going to drive his price up. But um, Gretch and I just did the podcast on Green Bay, and he was asking me if like Golden is my Brian Thomas for this year, because I do like Golden as a rookie that I think is maybe getting overlooked, but he does have some flags from a prospect perspective. So I kind of DM'd Gretch after. I said Egbuka is probably closer to my Brian Thomas of this year than Golden, where I think he was maybe slightly undervalued in Dynasty, slightly undervalued in redraft because of the landing spot, but is playing with an offense that could be really successful, a good quarterback, and he doesn't really have those red flags as a prospect that Golden has. So I'm pretty excited, and I think there's just a lot of past it. Whether he's good, it's a Godwin injury, it's he ices McMillan, who's just not good enough to stay on the field with competing with those other three guys, or Evans is getting older. I think there's a lot of routes to targets, even if there's not one path that's super obvious.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Matthew Golden, I saw two different two different reports from Packers camp today. The first one was in the first play of scrimmage, the wide receivers on the field were Matthew Golden and Romeo Dobbs, and I was like, oh wow, wheels up for Matthew Golden. I mean, it's kind of been the assumption anyway that Jaden Reed is just out there in three wide receiver sets, but still that seemed really good. And then the second, like 5 minutes later, I read a different report. First play of the scrimmage for Packers personnel on the field, and it was like Malik Heath and like totally different. I was like, what is going on here? It's how do you manage the different news that's coming out? Like, did you just have like specific sources that you trust more than others,
Yeah,
beat writers?
we have sources that we trust. It's a difficult time of year because you spend like the previous 2 months thinking long game. It's going to be a chaotic season. We're trying to win over the course of the season. And then the news starts hitting, and you can swing too far the other way and get hyper focused on, what's the depth chart going to look like week one. And sometimes we can overswing on that stuff. And sometimes the news itself is just meaningless. So just really trying to dig, like, where is this coming from? Read the context of quotes and whatnot. Sometimes you'll see a rosy quote about a player. You dig into the whole context, and it's like in a mix of like them talking about all backup players or
Right.
something. And you need to kind of dissect that. And then there's part of like, we're always trying to assess how good we think the players are. So it's tough because there's some confirmation bias, but I wouldn't say that's all a bad thing. Like, you want some level of prior that you're sticking
Right.
to on a player that's going to say, like, there was a tweet about Cade Stover getting, more work. And I was already worried looking at the splits last year between Cade Stover and Dalton Schultz. So if I'm drafting Schultz, that quote concerns me because it was something I was already thinking about and a little bit worried about. Whereas, something like Jackson Dart, they're talking about him, possibly redshirting. They say that about rookies every year. They have a really tough schedule. I'm probably not moving a ton on that. I'm considering and taking into account. But yeah, you're just doing your best. You're never going to bat 1,000 with this stuff, but you're doing your best not to overreact or underreact.
Yeah, I was debating what to do with that Jackson Dart bit because like I have not drafted a single share of Russ. I don't think I don't take a ton of Dart either, but I do take some like round 18, round 20 on DraftKings. Like I take some flyers on Dart when I have Giants players when I need a third quarterback, and I'm like, should I be taking Wilson there instead? That one's trickier for me because like I sort of believe them. They talked about like it'd be great for him to just take a redshirt year. I mean, you say we need context. I actually didn't read the full quote, so I don't have the full context there. But the little bit that I did read seemed like pretty bearish for Jackson Dart this year potentially. But yeah, good.
It was a bearish quote, but again, you can kind of find bearish quotes about almost every rookie quarterback every year. And every once in a while it is legit and they are willing, the plan is just to not play that guy. But that's pretty rare, especially for a team with a tough schedule, coach that probably has got to show something. I would be more worried about drafting Dart than I would be like, oh, maybe we should be taking Russ, just because drafting any of these quarterbacks that might not start end of the year, like, you don't need Russ to get you through the first 5 weeks or so. You're hoping whichever Giants late round quarterback you take is either going to cover some weeks later in the year when you get buys and injuries, or they have some legitimate upside. So I'd either draft no Giants quarterbacks or still take some stabs on Dart. I try not to end up in that situation, but once in a while, the stacking just goes awry throughout a draft, and you're just like, I got to figure out quarterback somehow. And that's when I'll look at like Dart or Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones, that sort of thing.
Especially on DraftKings for me, that happens pretty frequently where I'm like, oh, I really need to take a late quarterback. But yeah, sometimes on Underdog as well. Did you have any other players that like jump out to you as like you're definitely the highest at ETR? You'd move them up the ranks.
I guess another one is the Bears running backs.
Okay.
I was gonna say that some of the Bills pass catchers, but I'm trying not to be too much of a homer there. So I'll go Bears running backs with Swift and Roshan Johnson. I've been drafting them a little bit higher than we have them ranked. Again, not like huge discrepancies, but just kind of see if that offense breaks in a way that it can with a year two Caleb breakout, buoyed by an amazingly positive head coaching switch, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. There's no competition for these two backs. We saw in Detroit, like two backs hit value. I just see a lot of ceiling without needing injuries to other guys, which is, can be rare in that range.
Do you take any Kyle Monangai, or is it just Swift and Roshan?
I haven't been taking any Monangai, just Swift and Roshan so far. In a redraft, I might take a stab on Monangai where, you can drop him if it doesn't work out or he's clearly the third back. But that one's a little too thin for me given the draft capital for a best ball. I see someone in the chat asking if I've been to Jay's Artisan Pizza. I live like 5 minutes away from Jay's Artisan Pizza. So yes, I'm a frequent visitor.
I've never been to Jay's Artisan Pizza. You're in New York, right? Not in the city though. You're in Buffalo. Are you in Buffalo?
Okay, yeah, okay. Buffalo, New York. But they're like a top 100 pizza place in the country.
Oh, cool. All right, that is cool. All right, we are going to get in here. Manifesto, Mike. I was telling Leone, I almost put this in the thumbnail. I don't think I did, but then but after you said this, I was like, wait, did I leave that in the thumbnail? That's pretty funny. Good to see you all here. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to get right into this draft. I actually, you brought up, as we're talking about this, I'm like, I have a million questions that I want to ask Mike Leone, but we can't ask them all. So I'm just going to enter in this draft. We're in Best Ball Mania 22nd draft. The first one is, you brought up Cade Stover as a potential thorn in Dalton Schultz's side. I've actually taken Cade Stover in a couple drafts. Is that too nuts? Like, is that going too far to take Cade Stover in the 18th round or the 20th round on DraftKings?
Yeah, I think it's got to be a 20th rounder on DK on a Stroud team. I don't know. I struggle with those where like part of me is like, yeah, I get it. And part of me is like, I think it's too cute where we're, like him cutting into, does he overtake Schultz or does he just cut in to make them both useless?
Right.
Sort of thing. So I can't say I've drafted any Stover thus far. I may lack for imagination though.
I will say I did that before other like 18th round tight ends started to appeal to me more. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like, I didn't really love any tight ends there. So like, why not just reach down? And because I also think that I have like, he had one really long touchdown last year, and like he was starting to overtake Schultz a little bit last year before he got hurt. So there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe he could just overtake Dalton Schultz. Like Dalton Schultz isn't this special talent. Maybe Stover has a little bit of pop, but I think I'm probably just like galaxy braining, remembering one great play from last year. So maybe a player I'll look into a little bit more before I take any other shares. But like I said, there are other tight ends that have become more appealing to me in those late rounds. So I don't feel quite as willing to make that bet without more like positive coach speak or something.
Yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. I'm not too into the ownership stuff, but as we get into August and the ownership's like more solidified, those are the types of plays where if it looks like he could win the job, like he's going to be on such a limited amount of rosters in Best Ball Mania that I could see sneaking some him in August. But I think, yeah, I'd want a little bit more news. I'm glad we got the 1-2 turn here. That's probably my favorite spot to pick.
I was going to ask that. Yeah. It's right. It's among mine for sure. Like I think at the start of the year, it was definitely my favorite. And now I've started to like I still like late the latter half of the draft, I think, but I think I've started to like the 10 or 11 spot a little bit better maybe. But
yeah, it depends what players you love to. Like if you really like CMC, getting CMC at 8 and then still getting or if you really like Bowers in round 2 or something, there's some. So they're not going to give us Achane. I'm not going to, but
Achane goes. Yeah.
somebody slips to us. That means though.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Amon-Ra, Ashton Genty, BTJ, Derrick Henry. Who do you like here?
I'm definitely Amon-Ra. We have him, kind of above market. I think people get too worried about the pure ceiling arguments with him when he's got an extremely high floor and a good ceiling, just maybe not the absolute nuclear ceiling. I usually would go Amon-Ra Genty here, but I think Amon-Ra Brian Thomas is fine as well.
What's your preference between those two? I'm good with either.
Probably Genty. Probably Genty.
All right, let's do it. We're doing
But
Genty.
it's very close. Earlier in the offseason when our ranks first came out, Genty was doing like 8th, and I'm like, no one's ever going to get Genty with our ranks. And now it's crazy you can get him in round 2. I think in a normal year, he's a surefire first round pick. These backs that are extremely good prospects that get extremely good draft capital, people talk about rookies as risky. Like, they have extremely high floors, those kind of early running backs. They're going to get their touches. So the question with Genty is really the ceiling and what the offense can kind of support. It's not a floor concern by any means.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty in on Genty. I'm not in on him enough to get to like 12%. I think I'll be like pretty close to the field. Like I think I'm willing to draft him, but not super like above the field because of the offensive concerns. Like you said, it's just like the floor is there. I'm not sure if the Raiders have that kind of ceiling. But yeah, I think he's a strong pick there. What's he gonna ask you about?
The one thing with Brian Thomas that I do like is I like taking a bunch of receivers with quarterbacks that go between like QB12, QB22-ish to just give me max stack flexibility. So then, you get Goff and Lawrence, and I love just adding on to your stack options. So then you don't end up reaching for your quarterback. So that was, kind of one small consideration of like a team building thing with Brian Thomas.
Yeah, no, I do the same thing like all the time, trying to build out for optionality later. And I always question myself, like, is this the best strategy to just like take players who, to not consider like who's a better player, to think too much? Like, do I think too much about my later optionality based on my picks now? And I always question, like, is this the optimal way to draft, or should I like dig in deeper and try to really decide whether I like, Nico Collins versus BTJ versus whatever.
Yeah,
Never decided.
I'm definitely with you on the optionality. I try to think of it as DFS, like we're trying to construct like the most plus EV lineups, and the optionality lets you do that because you're less likely to get robbed of correlation and you're more likely to get it at a really good cost. So it's like, I had this last year with Devontae Adams at the end of round 2, or maybe it was 2 years, but the 1 year it was like Devontae Adams versus like Ayuk at the end of round 2, and it's like, well, I have these two players equal, but it's much easier to stack Ayuk with Purdy later. So I kind of kept breaking the ties in that regard.
Yeah, it's 100% what I do. But then do you find yourself not getting as much like Zay Flowers, for example, or I mean, Khalil Shakir? I suppose you probably always draft Josh Allen, but like I always end up like light on the players whose quarterbacks go early, even though they're like probably good picks. Or like Zay Flowers probably a great pick where he's going, but I like struggle to take him over George Pickens when I can add Dak on later. Do you find yourself a little bit lighter on those players? Oh, we are on the clock. Sorry. Omarion Hampton here.
Yeah, I mean, this like Hampton and Worthy, not to be boring, those are the top 2, but like I think those are like the kind of the clear picks here.
Me too.
I love this turn.
I like didn't want to bring up Omarion Hampton because I didn't want to be like 100% sniped. I thought if I don't talk about him, there's a chance we'll get him. So I'm happy with that.
There's a pizza debate now raging in your comments. Not really raging, but I still get Zay because the ADPs have been such that like Waddle goes before who's got the stack candidate. Pickens, who you mentioned, goes before. Devontae Smith goes before. And we do have Zay like with we just have him so undervalued. So I do still end up getting some Zay. You're balancing everything. Like I probably take Zay over Travis Hunter at the same ADP. But it depends, what the rest of the roster looks like. Like sometimes I've already have by round 5, like 2 or 3 receivers that I'm like, okay, we've got the the optionality on, or I just kind of
Right.
know what I can do in subsequent rounds. So my Zay exposure would definitely be higher if he was paired with like a mid, like a CJ Stroud, but it's not erased by the fact that I am not taking much Allen or Lamar. I have a tough time taking them in round 3, and they seem to be rising up the board a little bit. I haven't seen, very much round 4 Allen or Lamar recently.
Yeah, I did just in a DK draft, just got a 4-5 turn Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, which, like, is that going to happen more and more often? Like, right now that feels like an auto click to me, but I'm like, is that going to become just yeah, you can get this whenever you want type thing because of the Terry McLaurin holdout? That's always kind of interesting, but to me that's still like, I love getting Jaden Daniels at the 4-5 turn.
Yeah, that's a nice way to get exposure to one of the top 4 elites without paying the exorbitant cost. Hurts is probably a guy too. Speaking of guys I like more than the ETR ranks, I probably like him a little bit more than our ranks. Not more than ADP, but our ranks are like about a half round low on ADP. I do think there's some outcomes that are just hard to capture in projections where if like Saquon got hurt or something, or the defense for whatever reason regressed, it's still going to be a very good offense. And if they have to throw more, there's going to be a lot more on Hurts's shoulders.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to say I appreciate you, Tyler, for pointing out that I left up a comment. I didn't even realize I clicked it. Just a misspelling. A
Neil's
misspelling of first.
producing, he's hosting, he's drafting.
Yeah, give me a break. Come on, I'm trying to talk here. Give me a break, Tyler. That was funny though. I didn't even see it on the screen.
I do that all the time whenever I have to pull up comments.
It was just because it was so small. Like, if it's big enough, then I would like notice that it was there, but I like didn't even notice that I clicked it there. Yeah, thank you, Billy, for reminding people. Please do like the video. I always forget to say, yeah, please do like, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. You can hit the little notification bell to get alerts when shows go live. It's all very helpful for me with the algorithm. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what other players I end up playing on. Khalil Shakir is probably like the top one, where it's like I think that he's a pretty good pick where he goes, but I never take him because of the optionality concerns. Actually, Keon Coleman I have like 0 of, which I know you are higher on Keon Coleman than most streamers, and it might just be homerism, but maybe you watch the games a lot, like you can kind of see something there.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like his per route run stuff is, I think, just better than is thought of. Like it was meaningfully better than Ricky Pearsall's yards per route run on more routes. And he kind of looked like he was breaking out before he had the wrist injury. So I think people are kind of just like, we're done with the Bills pass catchers. And I get it. But I think there's enough of a discount there. And while you can't stack him much with Allen, just because Allen goes so early, you do get the week 17 correlation with the Eagles guys if you just have one-off skill player them.
All right, we are almost back up on the clock at the 72-73.
Wow, we could just go 4 rookie running backs, the whole 4 rookie running back hyper fragile team. Or I'd probably go Henderson and Adunze. I don't know. Do we have any playoff stuff correlation? Usually I have my widget up and I'm
all right. We got Henderson. Detroit would be the Vikings. Kansas City would be Denver. So we could go Harvey, Jets.
Yeah, I think I'd go Adunze here with, again, kind of really like Olave, but breaking the tie slightly on ADP and slightly on
quarterback.
Like we've got a good value rank on Caleb, and that's like a high upside stack. I think Adunze is like a touch overpriced, but again, it just fits in the overall roster. But we could have gone Harvey, and we could have just gone like, I don't know how many of these you've done, but every once in a while I'll do a 4 running back build and then just make up for receiver by drafting a bunch later.
I think I've maybe done 1 or 2 this year. I did a lot more 4 quarterback builds, I think like 3 years ago. That was a lot more common. And I just like ultimately was like, I just like the safety of a 5th running back later to tack on felt better to me. But yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's like within the range of like builds that I would, if I were like telling people like these are the viable builds. Yeah. Four running backs, if you take them early enough, certainly would be one of them. I just like don't find myself doing it that often because it bit me too hard a couple of years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Last year was the year, I suppose. But
Yeah.
we do have the rookie. This is a different draft than when I draft with Overset. The room has so many people taking the rookies and younger players, and here we are we've got 5 combined either rookies or year 2 players through 6 rounds. So
Yeah. So you are capable of drafting just all of the young players. People
it's
don't
got
give
to
you
be
enough
the right
credit.
room.
Yeah.
I'm a chameleon.
Leone has range, guys. Everybody just thinks Leone wants to draft the dustiest players, but no, he's a chameleon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who's in here? Anybody in this draft with us? I think I saw some names that I know. Steven Urbanik is in here. Eastburf. Good to see you guys in here with us. Thank you for letting us have Omarion Hampton at pick 36. I swear I've been like an Omarion Hampton bull the entire offseason. Like I've been like, I think he could be, a 3-4 turn. I think he's totally reasonable with a 3-4 turn. And then the Najee stuff happened. I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to take him like 6 picks ahead of ADP. And I look at both DraftKings and Underdog yesterday, and I have 10% on both sites of Omarion Hampton, which is just like so painful for me as somebody who like I feel like I should have 20%. I've been ahead of, but it just for whatever reason, the way my drafts go, it's hard for me to take him at this point ahead of like Devontae Adams, falling JSN, whatever. So like those like second round receivers, I usually it's like, oh, there's a faller, so I'll take that instead. How are you handling the Omarion Hampton situation?
Yeah, I think like 3-4 turns good. It is hard to get into the middle of the third. The Najee stuff being up in the air, I think it adds a bonus, but it's uncertain. He could end up being mostly fine, and I think at 3-4, then it's still like a fine pick for Hampton. Even if Najee's totally fine, it's maybe like a touch aggressive. You start getting like middle, early third, then he ends up being really aggressive if you've done that. Man, some serious Godwin dip here, huh?
Yeah. Are you buying it? Pulling up Egbuka?
I haven't done. I threw in like 40 slows. Well, it doesn't matter. We don't
get them.
We don't get them.
Pull up Mahomes.
I'm usually Hawkinson with a receiver here. I could go Mahomes. I could.
We could go a receiver if you like one. If you want to go Shakir, like this might be a good spot. We've got.
Yeah, it's some solid ADP value, but we do. I don't. It's up to you, Mahomes or Shakir. I'm kind of torn on that one. I might just go Mahomes and lock in one of the stacks. Like, usually if I can get this stack at ADP, I don't quibble with it too much. But when I said Hawkinson, I wasn't totally thinking through that. It does put us a little bit behind on receiver, but
we'll be fine.
We've got 3 wide receivers through 8. It's probably going to be a double tap at receiver, but I do kind of like to just go where the value goes and then sort of figure out my roster construction as I go along, even if I miss some like quote unquote benchmarks early of what, typically you do want like 4 wide receivers through 7 or 8.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we'll be able to catch up. I think like I'm not too worried about this. We're in a very balanced build, so we can kind of take values as they come. Not the worst, not the end of the world. 1, 3, 3, 1 through 8 rounds.
Mahomes is Mahomes and Hawk 2 do open up either 2 QB or 2 tight end build to buy an extra receiver later, depending on how the rest of this goes. And the second quarterback, I mean, we've got Caleb, we've got Goff there as options, and now we've got McCarthy too as an option.
Yeah, we're in a pretty good spot as far as the quarterbacks go. Like we could take one of them at the next turn potentially.
Yeah, we are in a kind of a strange spot just in terms of
needing receivers and the quarterbacks lining up wrong for us.
Just with the ADP is probably going to line up where it's maybe like a little bit of a stretch. Caleb, I mean, we just have a huge run.
Goes. Yep.
But there's backdoor stuff too with not having filled wide receiver spots as well. that we might be able to do with
Yeah, good
Stroud
call.
is like a go-to guy a
Me
lot of
too.
times if you can get Kirk with and one of the rookie receivers with him.
Yep. No, I do that one quite a bit. Always a like easier back stack. We did not take BTJ, so Trevor would be he's somebody like you can kind of get where we're going to be picking sometimes. And then you can backstack with like Bretton Strange or something. So yeah, we have outs. Not too concerned about it. I have to go back and forth. I click on here to make the board move. I think when I'm on the StreamYard screen, I've realized the board doesn't move. So it's sorry if I'm not keeping
Oh,
up with chat very well.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, we are almost back up on the clock. It's not a great range for receivers. I don't know anybody you like here.
No, I do like, I guess, Kirk if we're trying to open up Stroud. It's a little early for him, but I do like him.
Yeah,
Um,
probably fine.
and then, I mean, if we wanted to close out, can you start on ADP? With,
Yep.
I mean,
Here's ADP.
the Judkins is fake. I mean, you could close out tight end with Ingram and get a week 17 bring back. I
Oh,
usually
that's true.
take Andrews over Ingram, but we could just say this is a 2 tight end team since we know.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what comes around to us. Might have to start worrying about quarterbacks here pretty soon. But so if we're at a 1-3-4-2 with Patrick Mahomes, Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Monra St. Brown, Xavier Worthy, Romo Dunze, Christian Kirk, TJ Hawkinson, and Evan Ingram. Some of our pass catchers quarterbacks are gone, but we have some outs there.
Yeah, we've got some running back quarterback pairings too that sometimes the field ignores, but I think are viable. Probably Herbert doesn't come back, but it's possible. But you get Herbert with Hampton, you get Geno with Genty, and there's late rookie pass catchers to pair there too as well.
Yeah. Ian asked, Genty aside, who do you think is the rookie RB with the clearest 25-26 season opportunity?
I mean, it's kind of depends how you interpret that question, but Hampton was an extremely good prospect, the clear kind of RB2.
Yeah,
I think they're going to run the ball enough and he's going to show his explosiveness that even if Najee's eye thing doesn't turn out to be a big deal, Hampton's got a pretty good runway. I do know JJ Zachariason's noted some concerns just with pass catcher volume for running backs in Greg Roman offenses, which is valid. A little bit less of a concern in a half PPR league, but definitely valid in terms of ability to hit a ceiling. I thought for a while Harvey was a bit overvalued. I do prefer Travion Henderson to him, which we took obviously at the 5-6 turn. Just again, Harvey got picked earlier than expected, and Henderson was the clear better prospect, and Dobbins might be more of a thorn than we're thinking there. So I do prefer, Henderson would be my RB3 among the rookies.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. See, I think I've taken a lot more Harvey than Henderson, but I have them like back to back. Kind of like I use bye weeks as a tiebreaker there, that kind of stuff. I don't know what to do with it. So like RJ Harvey, like they went out and got him when he's like 24 already, which kind of to me is also an indication that like they're going to use him right away. Whereas other running backs who are younger, maybe it's like he could be a little bit of a project. I don't know if that really happens in the NFL that much. Like how often do running backs get taken that you don't use their rookie year all that often? I don't know. So I go back and forth on like maybe it's a good thing for this year that RJ Harvey is older, just because he could like they're probably planning on giving him a pretty significant role this year. And it's just like being a running back in a Sean Payton offense, probably going to catch a lot of balls. All right, T-Law goes.
This was a QB thirsty room, huh?
Yeah, yes, it was.
Glad we grabbed Mahomes.
Yeah,
I might grab Tuden here, and then can you flip on the quarterbacks? Let me see, what do we got? I might play with fire. I might play with fire and just wait another round.
Let the room decide. Yeah. I don't hate that. Dylan Sampson's still there. Actually, Javante's still there. Do you want to go like Romeo Dobbs, Quentin Johnston?
No, I'd probably we could just completely close out running back. There's some
with
good running back picks with either Javante or Samson is fine.
I think I got okay. We got Samson.
Samson, that's fine. We can just close out there. We're very rookie heavy, but we got 5, and the rookies that we took though are pretty. At least the
Solid.
early ones we took they're gonna. It's not like they're not gonna see volume. Tuden and Samson are obviously at risk for volume, but I think we're gonna see plenty of volume out of the gate from obviously Genty's a zero concern volume out of the gate.
Yeah.
Hampton might be close to zero concern if the Najee issue cost him time early, and then
Trevion gonna have a role at the very least from the
yeah,
start.
gonna have a role. It might not be the role we want out of the gate, but it's not gonna be like you're taking zeros there. I think we're just done with running back. We're gonna have to get some wide receiver quantity here and figure out QB 2 and 3. So I think we're done at tight end and running back already.
We literally have 5 rookie running backs. That is our running back room right now. So take it, Leone haters or
Give me rookies
doubters.
or give me death.
Yeah, right. But like I actually like there's a world where all 5 of these rookies are like the starting running back week 1. Like Quinshon Judkins gets suspended. Bashal Tutin just wins out the job. It's not clearly this is not the likeliest scenario, but I think there's like a 3% chance that all 5 of these running backs are the like get the highest percentage of touches in week 1. Had a question about somebody and now I'm blanking on what it was. But yeah, we're playing with fire here. We have not seen a quarterback go since the last turn, so that's good. Gives us a little bit more
I know what I want to do, but
we'll see if we have the option. Yeah. Oh, here's the question that I wanted to ask you. Pepperoni says ADP doesn't matter. So I feel like there's like divergent thoughts here. And I feel like generally one thing that we learned in your best ball manifesto is like ADP value actually matters a lot. Like to just getting CLV matters quite a bit. Like just having a team that soaks up a lot of ADP value, generally you're going to have a better team. But then there's also like that sometimes maybe it's a good idea to flip the board. And I of course clicked the wrong one. Where do you fall on the like? Do you just like eat up as much value as you can in general, or are you willing to like go get your guys, flip the board, et cetera, et cetera?
I'm definitely more of an ADP value guy. It's oh my goodness, that was a tough little stretch there.
Yes, it was.
Did Ward go though?
Ward has not gone. There's one other quarterback. Okay, so
we're probably doing Geno, right?
Geno, and so you prefer Geno over Stafford? Oh, we have Hampton. Okay.
I'm just kind of thinking Geno with Hampton. I mean, I know it's a looser correlation, but just betting on that offense being good. We got to go quarterback here. I guess there's a question if we go 2, but we probably should go receiver.
I'd be fine. I like some back stacks with Stafford, so he's another one that I was thinking. But otherwise, if you want to just go McMillan or
I think I'd take McMillan or Leggett here.
Okay.
I'll take McMillan. I think the ADP is going to come up on McMillan with the Godwin stuff. But going back to the ADP value, all the research I've done has shown that teams with strong ADP value outperform expectations. Jack Miller did an article this year about breaking it down in more stratified ways than I had done the research, and it still kind of came out with the same answer. So I think there's a few things here, which is one, we're generally not like that much smarter than the overall market. But the other thing is, if you take ADP values consistently, like that's how you can get lucky and build a really good team. Like if you've got 2 wide receivers you like in round 6, take the ADP value and maybe the other guy comes back to round 7. The people who go get their guys really limit their upside in terms of how lucky they can get in a draft. I think that's the part that gets overlooked and discounted is I'm trying to get lucky in drafts. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Like we got a little greedy at quarterback and it didn't work out, but we have backup options. And if it had worked out, it would have been awesome. It doesn't work out. It's still not the end of the world. It's not exactly how we wanted it to go, but we're okay.
Right. Yeah. That's the other thing that people say all the time. And like, I think there's some research maybe that suggests that like the field is still like really inefficient. Like the field is not that great. It's if you buy into the group, like taking players at ADP is like buying into groupthink that is not that smart. So like you hear people say that all the time, and I don't know if that's actually like based on research or just like vibes, just people like stating their opinion. But then I struggle with that that kind of aspect of the like, well, what if that's true? Like the market is maybe not super efficient in best ball. I've heard some smart people say the market is not super efficient. But yeah, I think that I fall on your side in general of the like.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just because you're cognizant of ADP value doesn't mean you're not going to take players you like and avoid players you
Right.
don't like. There's this situation where I'll probably draft anybody if they make sense, like their archetype makes sense in the room and they fall past ADP, I'll take them, but I'm still going to be underweight a lot of players. I'm going to be overweight some. I'm just never going to be someone who's got like 6 guys at 40%. And then, my edge is I'm building really smartly constructed teams over and over again. Did
Wandale, Jalen Knoll.
Oh, we got to go. Let's go, Knoll. Let's go. Sorry, there's Thornton too. Did Thornton go?
Dante Thornton, no, he's here. Oh yeah, that's a good call.
If we just, we're getting a little crazy with the rookies here, Neil. That's my fault.
Are you comfortable with this, Michael?
That's my fault. Usually, it's these options aren't there for me.
Yeah, let's do it. We're going nuts with the rookies. I mean, we got some vets at quarterback. Now we have. I'll read off the team. So we have Mahomes, Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, Trevion Henderson, Bashal Tootin, Dylan Sampson. At wide receiver, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Xavier Worthy, Romo Dunze, Christian Kirk, Jalen McMillan. So, a lot of vets at wide receiver. And then we have Jalen Knoll and Dante Thornton. And at tight end, we have TJ Hawkinson and Evan Ingram. I think it's all right. I think this works.
Yeah. And then I guess we'll have to decide. We're definitely taking one more wide receiver. And then we kind of have a pick that could go a few different ways. The last pick.
Yeah.
You could do third tight end. You could do third quarterback. I was saying if like A-Rich or someone fell. We're probably just, I think, rolling with 2 though at this point.
Yeah, which is fine. I think we're all hoping to get 3 quarterbacks this year, but like 2 quarterbacks can still work if they just work out. Like if the Chiefs offense goes burr this year, we'll be fine.
Yeah, anytime you take anytime you're inside pick 100, I feel like, and you've taken a quarterback, you have to at least be open to only going with 2.
Yeah.
If the room gives you the values, you go 3. Love having 3 stacked quarterbacks. There's a lot of evidence that's a really smart play, particularly for the BBM format, the way the playoffs are structured. But historically, there's very good rates on the 2 QB stuff as well. So it's not clear that you should always go 3 quarterbacks. I have a tendency to lean that way, but I try to be open to what the room is going to give me.
Neil Farley says, I still get triggered thinking about that thread from a couple years ago that claimed ADP didn't. I didn't know what thread he's referring to. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry that still triggers you. You brought up, I'm going to assume you're talking about me there. You brought up Jack Miller's work. And there's actually another piece that Jack Miller did for ETR that I reference all the time about like best time to draft. That I reference it all the time in reference to the eliminator, like because it's about like weeks 1 through 14 last year. Teams drafted in August outscored teams drafted in June by like 20 points or something like that. And then 2 years ago, when it actually went into September, it was like 30-point differential, which to me is like especially powerful in eliminator because you're competing against new teams starting in week 2. Like you're playing against those earlier teams with pods starting in week 2, as opposed to BBM. It's not until week 15. So like that part of it doesn't matter as much. But I thought it was really interesting seeing teams drafted later actually had like higher ceiling in the later weeks as well, it seemed. Do you factor that in at all? Do you like back weight your drafting, or are you a draft all summer kind of guy?
I'm kind of draft all summer. Like, honestly, I don't draft as much as
we're on
some
the clock,
others in this
Sorry.
space.
I just asked and then I realized we're on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit of a tough range. Let's go receiver though. Whatever, 2-2 is good. We kind of need a guy that's just going to be out there for sure. This next pick, honestly, we can go anywhere with it.
Here's ADP if you prefer.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Coker. I haven't really taken any Royals. I know that's a stack.
Okay. I
I'm
thought
not
about doing
against it,
okay. Now
but
oh shoot. I did so I have my positional limit set. And we got a running back instead of I think it's actually fine. We added
yeah,
on
we had a pick to play with. I was usually I'm not that clueless on my round 18 pick, but there I was totally clueless. And if there's a time to take Justice Hill, it's when you've taken
yeah, I think it actually
five
makes sense
rookie
for this
running
team.
backs.
Yeah,
So
like it's a little bit of an ADP fall for Justice Hill. So I'm
it
actually
is.
like, that's actually not a bad pick. I was like
No,
debating last second throwing Royals in there for the stack.
the
But I am pretty happy with Justice Hill
the
on this team also.
20-second clock is tough for streaming for
It's
sure.
tough.
And some people
Even with the
are
back-to-back
picking
picks.
fast here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this has been a super fast draft. Yeah, we started like after, I don't know, 10 minutes after the hour. So this is about 40 minutes in total for this draft. Yeah,
But yeah, what I was saying is I'm not going to get in 150 BBMs if I don't start early because I don't do
right.
like a ton of fast drafts. I get in a lot of slows, so I'll kind of enter in a slew of slows, and then usually I try to work through them, see what my exposures are, enter in another kind of set of slows, and you know, it kind of helps me diversify because we're at different points in the news flow. So it's like I'm getting a little bit diversified because I know what I'm doing repeatedly within like each bucket of drafts I do, and then I start a new bucket, and that's sort of how I do it. But I'm not surprised the teams that draft later also have higher ceiling. I think people again discount like that information edge that you have where you're taking less gambles that are like zeros when you're drafting in August. And so you might have a chance to get much better closing line ADP value if you draft early in the summer and like hit a huge ceiling on one guy in particular. But people undervalue like my odds of getting a huge ceiling relative to ADP maybe are lower on each player individually in August, but collectively all those guys have some chance of hitting a ceiling. Whereas the team you drafted in July, you might have one or two guys that have a much higher chance relative to where you took them, but one or two guys that have, a 0% chance or much lower chance. And that's, kind of how I think the odds shift more than people think.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I think about it. Like, I think the team overall is just going to be better, even if, and Charlie, I mean, this could be like, there are examples like this, like that's a sick team. If you have Dylan Sampson, the 18th, Dobbins, and 17th, like maybe you do just have a team that is a powerhouse. But like, I feel like that's rare. Like that's going to be a lot less common than teams that have one good player and then two players that are like complete zeros or close to zeros, or just like you took, the wrong RB2, where we're going to learn later that actually Jarquez Hunter is, mixing in a lot with the Rams, or, whatever, just throwing out examples. It also could be that it's a small sample. So like Jack is just looking at data from the past 2 to 3 years. Maybe this year is different, and maybe there were more of those players that are just, we're already players were taken in these 17th, 18th round, and they're going to move up significantly. And maybe there are people will have built powerhouse teams, but like across 150 teams, like if you're doing 150, I think having more of them later is a better idea, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly what parameters Jack used to define ceiling, but there's
I don't
obviously a
either.
difference between maybe your chance at hitting the 99.99th percentile outcome is better in July, but your chance of hitting a 98th percentile outcome is better in August, so
Right.
like, and then you got to kind of decide what do you really need. And it depends. If you're drafting one of the cumulative points leagues, you might need a team that's closer to that absolute nuts, pure ceiling. If you're drafting BBM with all the variants with the different pods and the non-consecutive rollover weeks in the playoffs, weeks 15 to 17, you don't need the very best team,
Right.
to win. You just want as many very good teams as possible to get to the playoff rounds, as opposed to risking, having a low advance rate, but one or two insane teams. So it definitely matters what format you're playing.
And I would say like in the eliminator versus like the marathon. So like the marathon, you probably want that 99.99th percentile team. But like the eliminator, you still need to get lucky with like your pod draws and just like not just not run into 1 week where your players disappoint, whatever. So I feel like I'd just rather have like 100 and 30 of my teams be 90th percentile than like a bunch of teams that are 35th percentile and 5 that are 99th percentile. Or I don't know, I'm kind of making up numbers here, but like I think I'd
Yeah.
rather have more of those like really strong teams in my portfolio rather than like getting lucky on a few is generally the way I think about it. I could prove to be wrong, but that is one of those things that I feel pretty strongly like you generally are going to have more of an advantage building later because you feel so sure about things in June and July that end up being wrong, and like just drafting close to the season, you're probably going to be more right more often. All right, well, I'm pretty happy with the way this draft went. Let me read off the team one last time. So we get Patrick Mahomes, Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, Trevion Henderson, Bashal Tootin, Dylan Sampson, Justice Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Xavier Worthy, Romo Dunze, Christian Kirk, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Knoll, Dante Thornton, Tutu Atwell, TJ Hawkinson, and Evan Ingram. So we got the one chaperone there with Justice Hill, along with all of the fun rookies. We have sort of a boring quarterback room with Mahomes and Geno Smith, but could work out. Receivers, we got a lot of vets. It's not the sexiest receiver room. I mean, Xavier Worthy, I mean, you say it's boring, but that's kind of a sexy pick. We got
Yeah,
some upside here.
we do. I wish, we reached on Kirk to open up the Stroud possibility, and then Stroud didn't fall. That definitely hurt a little bit. We kind of ended up in a weird middle ground on QB. I'm definitely glad we took Mahomes, or we could have been in a really bad spot because
True.
I don't think Goff, like, did we have a chance at Goff there? I don't totally remember.
I actually don't either. Let's see.
I think Goff and Caleb had kind of come off the board. I don't even know if we had a discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they did. They both came. Well, no, wait, Caleb. We could have taken Goff at
we could have
108.
taken Goff. Caleb was off the board. We could have taken Goff. I feel like Goff's like a touch overvalued, and then that also would have been ahead of ADP. So I had a tough time, and we still had McCarthy and Stroud and even Herbert as backdoor options. I mean, I think it was a worthwhile gamble. It
Yeah,
didn't it
the
didn't pay
room just
off.
yeah.
Um,
Could have taken
Room
Drake
didn't give
May.
it to us.
There were so many quarterbacks that were like strong outs for us at the next turn, and then they all went. So yeah,
Yeah.
kind of unlucky in that sense. But
But
overall,
that's the way you got to decide how you want to draft. Like, some people will just take Goff where we were and guarantee that stack.
right?
I'll gamble a little bit more frequently.
Yeah,
Doesn't work out there, but I like to gamble and get more teams with a ton of ADP value. And then get creative like we did. If not, we get Geno paired with Genty, and then we still get the rookie pass catcher and Thornton to pair with Geno as well.
yep, yep. Good enough. Before we get out of here, I do want you to answer this question from Rabona King. Leone, who's the Bills wide receiver you want the most exposure to? And then WFM where else S, and is that above 4%? I assume it's above 4% for a Bills fan. But
It
who
is.
is, yeah,
I probably end up the most with Shakir just because he keeps falling in terms of ADP. And I do think he's like the safest top target. But I might be, slightly overweight or in line on Shakir, Coleman, and Kincaid, the three of them. I don't have a lot of Palmer, which may be a mistake because he's so cheap and he's the spike week. But I could see a world where this offense condenses a little bit more than it did last year. I know last year was frustrating because they were so run heavy and then spread out. So it was just a disaster from a fantasy perspective. But I think that is more than baked into the prices right now on all three of those guys.
yeah. It's funny that Palmer's the one that you're out on because he's like the one that I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take him at 160 all the time. Like it just feels like pretty good like ADP value to me.
Yeah, it's I it's more that the rooms that I'm building, I'm usually like stacking at that point and don't have Allen, or I have a lot of rooms where I've started wide receiver heavy early, like more heavy than we did for sure because we took 3 running backs early, which I do when the room gives it to me. But in those rooms where I've taken 4 or 5 wide receivers through 7 rounds, I'm sort of looking for the pure ceiling play at the point where Palmer goes, right?
Sure.
Because I've got my safety covered. if
Right.
I'm in a room like the room we drafted today, Palmer would have been a good fit for our team, where having the guy out there that maybe doesn't have a huge raw ceiling in terms of volume, but it's going to run into some spike weeks, like that would have been quite useful to our
Yeah.
room.
Yep.
The team we started with, I don't have a ton usually at the point in the draft where Palmer goes.
Right. Beast Facts, are you mixing in Knox?
I can't say I'm mixing in Dawson Knox. I'm not. I do expect him to still play, a meaningful real life role on the team and kind of be an annoying thorn in the red zone that the Dalton Kincaid drafters, aka me, tilt. But I
Yeah.
just don't see, the volume upside. We have some fun dart throws late, Arroyo, Fannin in terms of rookies. You've even got some vets like Higbee that I think are assured more volume than Knox. So it's tough for me to fit Knox in there.
Right. Yeah. I have not taken any Knox yet either. All right. Leone, I know you got to get out of here. This was a lot of fun. Really appreciate you coming on the show. Where can people find you, your work, anything coming up?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at 2hats1mike, or I should say on X. And then all my contributions to rankings occur over at Establish the Run. Just got through an off-season projections podcast special 2 on Establish the Edge, which is kind of like our it's the nerd podcast for the Establish the Run
Super nerdy, but it's so
fans.
fun. Yeah.
So you can check that out. They're long. I'm going to warn you ahead of time. They're all like 90 minutes or so. There's one for each division. But if you're really into the weeds of projections and rankings and whatnot, a lot of people have found those useful.
Yeah, I love it. I tell people all the time, one of those podcasts that I look forward to every year. Definitely go check out the Establish the Edge podcast. Again, it's not on the ETR channel, it's on its own YouTube channel, Establish the Edge. I know you posted, I think you posted first as a podcast. So you can also find it in podcast feeds. Cool. Well, appreciate you very much, Leone. I'm going to continue drafting here, but I'll let you get out of here.
Thanks, Neil. Have a good one.
Thanks, Mike. All right. See you later. All right. As I said, I am going to continue drafting here. I'll plan on continuing to do Underdog. If you guys would much rather see some DraftKings, we do that instead. But I'm gonna continue doing. I'm just realizing I did not make any overlay for this for just me for Underdog. That's all right. We don't really need an overlay on here, I don't think. Let's go back here. Just means I'm not outlined. That's not a big deal. So I'll continue drafting unless anybody has objections. Let's do another Best Ball Mania. I think so. I so far have not broken the streak of consecutive Best Ball Manias streamed because, as you know, I did 150 last year, and I think and I've streamed all of them so far this year. I believe after this stream, I'm going to start doing some BBMs that are not streamed on my own. Looking forward to doing that. Steven thinks Elijah Moore is super underrated. I'm not sure about that. Could be right. I'm not drafting any Elijah Moore personally, but maybe you'll talk me into it. All right, we are in the 2-hole here. Anybody else? I see Matt Murphy's in here. Lol Samo. I know the name. Steven's in here. Anybody else? I'm gonna throw on some music. I always I like having the jams when I'm streaming by myself. There we go. This is my jam. There's Lol Samo. Good to see you. Wait, who Hams? I don't understand. He says Moore is underrated, most likely. Even raising him 50 spots, he's not draftable to me. So what do you mean? You think he's underrated, but he's also not draftable? I have to get the rights to some death metal. Yeah, we're going into space. Who Hams knows? Oh, I'm on the clock. I'll take Saquon. I almost always take Jefferson here, but I'm happy with the Saquon share. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe because I think this is literally my first BBM that I'm drafting by myself. So this is the first one that I actually get to take the players that I want. I should have just taken Jefferson because I want to have all the Jefferson. Oh, you're saying you're too bearish on him. Okay, I see. Yes, I swear Vezo Bindles introduced me to the song. I think it's just called Minnesota. That was a good one. Zach says he's not a real Vikings fan. Zach, you're a Minnesota guy, right? I am. I am a real Vikings fan. I'm just not like, not going to take J-Jets every time. I'm also not like the live and die on whether the Vikings win or lose. Like, I like it when they win. Makes me happy. But when they lose, it doesn't ruin my day either. I'm not that level of Vikings fan. Should have taken Bijan. I do sometimes take Bijan over Saquon. Oh, good question. Neil says, how do you draft without the sidekick? I should get the sidekick back up here. I took it off because out of respect for my guest. Because they have their own extension at ETR. But now I can bring it back up. Doesn't fit there. Does it fit there? Yeah, that's better. I also do sometimes I want to do some drafts without the sidekick just to get my guys more. Because sometimes the guy that I want, my favorite picks aren't at the top, which is usually an indication that maybe they're not the best pick for that team. But early on, especially, the sidekick can cater to the team that I've started building. So I go back and forth on how often do I want to use it. Generally, it's I use it most of the time. But I want to do some of them where I'm just using the brain, seeing what it comes up with. Another 7th place team. I'll see now. Bucky comes back to me. I'm going to have 2 week 9 bye running backs. That's not ideal. You should take him, Steven. Take Bucky off my hands. Okay, Bucky goes. Thank you. All right, Steven goes Garrett Wilson. See here, I think I'm actually going to go Tyreek Hill, a player that I was extremely out on a month ago before the Jonnu trade. Kind of think I need to work some in. So this is a team that I'm going to be underweight on both of these guys, probably. Maybe not Saquon. I guess I don't know for sure. But getting a little bit off the beaten path with this one. Maybe I should have gone and changed the ranks a little bit to fit my preferences before I started this. I do like Trey McBride. I'm debating though, because there are some later tight ends that I really like. So I'm actually not going to do it. I'm going to go Devontae Adams. I've built a lot of bully tight end teams, but I'm more and more bullish on some late tight ends. So I think I'm trying more to save some spots for those later tight ends. What's up, C Money? Appreciate you. And yes, please do like the stream. Everybody would appreciate that. Okay, so you're outside of the Twin Cities, Zach. All right. I'm in St. Paul. Represent. Oh, am I not on sim mode? You're right. You can see that I never reset it. But yeah. Good shout out there. Once you go Sims, you never go back. Love it. Best Ball and Call says, gonna do the old man thing. Watch the old man draft teams and nap in the chair. Good luck, Neil. Thank you. Enjoy your nap. We're doing well. I'm doing well. I told people on stream last week I either strained or tore my calf in softball last Tuesday. Like I'm the pitcher, I threw a pitch, popped it up into the infield, and I took a step toward it. Was probably like going like right to the third baseman, but I, like to like get under it just in case. So I took one step towards where the ball was going and felt a pop like halfway up my calf, and a lot of pain. And I was like super nervous because I had actually been doing a lot of research on Achilles injuries because I've been dealing with Achilles tendonitis. And one of my takeaways was, if you feel a pop, that's really bad. It was basically what the research told me. Like a pop is like you tore your Achilles. Turns out with a calf, maybe like it's bad, but like not necessarily requiring surgery. And I'm recovering a lot better than like I was worried. Like the first few days going up and down the stairs was just absolutely brutal. It was like, 2 steps per step on the stairs kind of thing. Now I can go up and down the stairs just fine. I still feel it. I can't like crouch down and stuff, but recovering better than I thought I was going to 8 days later. So feeling good about that. Excited to continue with drafting season. It's pretty fun having training camp news, just like having things to talk about and to consider when drafting. Kind of love that. All right, Pickens. It's interesting that Hurts is going before Daniels lately. I do like Pickens quite a bit. I thought about switching to JMO there, just because I don't have a ton of JMO, but actually it's not that much of an ADP faller here. I'm going Kenneth Walker. Favorite draft position, I think it's maybe like the 9 or 10 spot. I think JSN is going to have a breakout year, certainly in play. A JSN huge breakout year. I don't draft it like a ton of JSN. I'm probably pretty close to the field. He's not like a huge target for me, but maybe that's an oversight because I think you're right. He could absolutely. Oof. Yeah, Fantasy Football Garage says, tore my quad sprinting the first couple of seasons ago. Not fun. I've been in this softball league for 8 or 9 years now, and even like when I started, so I'm gonna be 42 in a few days. When I started, I was like mid 30s, and literally like every season, the first game of the season, I come out of it and my quads and my ass, like for the next like couple days, were just like so sore. They get so sore the first game, and then it's like not an issue the rest of the season. But yeah, the quads, because you're not used to using them that much, you can really hurt them in softball. First, second, or third step FFG. I don't know what that means. Oh, he's talking to Fantasy Football Garage. Have you seen any news that changed your mind already? Almost certainly I have, like things that have like at least moderately changed my opinion on things. I'm trying to think of what they would be. So, I mean, Najee being on NFI, that's pretty interesting to me. Like I'm super bullish on Omarion Hampton right now. In the late 3rd round, I'm not chasing him up to the 2nd round. I don't know if maybe I will at some point be convinced to chase him up there, but currently I'm like 3-4 turn right around there is where I love Omarion Hampton. So that's sort of Joe Mixon on the NFI list. Like Nick Chubb, I think I'm pretty intrigued by. I'm trying to go like what other news. Sounded like Marshawn Lloyd. I was getting a little bit scared about Marshawn Lloyd after talking to some people about like maybe it's Emmanuel Wilson as the RB2, but just like the little tidbits of like he looks great in practice. Sounds like he's running with the 2s, I think. I guess maybe I didn't hear that specifically. Maybe I'm reading too much into what was said about Marshawn Lloyd, but just hearing that he looks like he has pop brings a new dimension to that offense is pretty bullish to me. Makes me kind of want to be back in. I was never completely out on Marshawn Lloyd, but I was like kind of hitting the brakes a little bit. Makes me think I can continue to draft him pretty comfortably. All right, don't need a quarterback yet. What's going to be, Steven? How are you going to snipe me after I stole Kenneth Walker from you? Caleb Johnson, interesting. I like Diggs here. Everything today, super, like all the reports, super bullish on Kyle Williams, which still is not like, I'm not trying to move him into the 10th round, but player that maybe I'm going to target around his ADP. Yeah, Sam Laporta's there. Don't love Sam Laporta. Could go Pearsall here, I suppose. Sounds like he's coming off of the injured list soon. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do Pearsall. Thought about taking Golden instead. I'm going Pearsall for this one. Although I can't do both May and Purdy. Yeah, that probably, if I had noticed, that might have been a tiebreaker for me in favor of Golden as a bye week bro, but oh well. Snipe, is that about the Kenneth Walker? That's a good point. I don't think that Herzig has updated my price yet to reflect my injury. I swear I stretch. I do stretch some. I do not plan to handcuff Walker with Charbonnet. I'm not drafting a ton of Derrick Henry this year. How are other people feeling about Derrick Henry? I do like him better on Underdog than DraftKings because it's half PPR. I think the full PPR obviously hurts him because he doesn't catch a lot of passes. I did take him in a draft earlier today. So, growth. I'm taking some Derrick Henry here or there. I would like to have the 4% exposure blanket, I think, on Derrick Henry. Like, I think he's objectively a fine pick where he goes. I'm sort of making the macro bet in general this year against all of the aging running backs staying healthy all year again. So I think in general, I would prefer to draft more later running backs once again, like the same thing we did last year. And now everybody's like, oh, you idiots, went 0 RB all of last year, et cetera, et cetera. And people are hating on it this year. And I'm like, it's just more likely after all of the veterans stayed healthy last year. It's a little bit more likely that, they have more tread on their mouths, tread on their tires, miles. What am I trying to say here? I don't know. It's more likely they get hurt this year than they did because they all stayed healthy last year because they now have that many more miles under their belts. Got a really strong rookie running back class. So generally, I think Derrick Henry is a fine pick in a vacuum, but I think the macro strategy of focusing on younger running backs, later running backs, taking the more sure thing receivers early is generally my approach, especially because the receivers are just so strong in the first and second rounds also. I'm not really taking Ayuk right now. I wanted Mason there. Steven got me back. Oh, Brian Robinson went also. That's why I can't see him. Could go Purdy for the Pearsall stack. This is tough. This is a really tough range here. Do I go ETN? I never draft ETN. I also am realizing I might not be totally used to the ETR rankings. I'll take Trey Harris. I like Trey Harris. I was looking for Jaden Higgins there. But I think he went. Yeah, okay, he went. He goes significantly early on Underdog than DraftKings. I'm like, now I'm DraftKings brain because I drafted all week last week on DraftKings and the ADPs are a little bit different. This is also, Neil says, after watching Darnold's last 2 games last year as a Vikings fan, I struggle to think JSN will truly be able to break out. Maybe as long as they just aren't in any important games, they'll be fine. Who knows? Peppertone says, how much of a Hampton rise would concern you? We were getting him late 4th and early 5th all draft season. Do you think the tier is flat enough that it doesn't matter too much for him? I kind of do. Like, I'm probably not going to chase him into the second round. So yeah, I think that's kind of if he breaks into the second round, that's where I probably won't take him as much. But then at the same time, I think about like, who am I taking that I really super love in the second round? Like, do I love, like in the late second round, do I love Tyreek Hill? Like, I have concerns about Tyreek Hill also. I don't know. I don't think I'll chase him into the second round. But I do think that it's like, I don't care that much about the like other people got him cheaper thing. I think in general that's overblown. Just like the drafting landscape shifts. I think you should just take who you think is good at the time you're drafting is my general approach to it. Because they're going to be positives and negatives throughout. So I'm not too worried about that aspect of it. The fact that some people got him in the 5th. It's like, if he's a second round value, to me, I'd still take him there and just hope that people who got him in the 5th got other things wrong. Yep, Godwin for sure looks a little more sketchy. That's a good call out by Zach, which also means to me, Jalen McMillan looks a little bit better. Emeka Egbuka looks a little bit better. I am the guy who thinks that this was expected from Joe Mixon. Maybe I guess I was not expecting it from Joe Mixon. So maybe I just didn't see it coming. All right, I got Trey Harris. Yep, I'll just do the simple thing. Do I want Bashal Tootin on this team? Tyler Warren could have made sense. Not super high on Njoku. Maybe I should be. Should I go Njoku or Loveland? I'm going to go Njoku if I don't hear from anybody. Yeah, I'll go Njoku. Could have gone Drake May. I think there are other quarterbacks that make more sense for this team because he's a buy overlap and I've got other stacks already. But I did kind of think about Drake May there. Peppertone says you should feel good about the Hall of Fame running back who is a freak of nature in a top 3 offense. Are you talking about Saquon on this team or are you talking about Derrick Henry? Because that applies to both. And yeah, I agree. I think they're both solid enough picks. Just trying to make some macro bets. Yeah, Henry in the limiter for sure. Love that. Yeah, this also makes sense. I'm kind of doing the same thing. I took a Kyron Williams in a big dog as a hedge also. Neil says one of these years he won't make his pay exactly. Yeah, I mean this is true. Feel great about Derrick Henry, Lamar, Andrews in a great defense. Yeah, they should be playing from ahead a lot, which should be good for Derrick Henry. Saquon Barkley playing in one of the best offensive environments, like they should be crushing teams, great offensive line. Both of them are set up to crush again. And if they stay healthy all year, I will almost certainly regret having 4% instead of 30%. I think I actually will be closer to the field on Saquon. I'm making that bet more often because he's not like Henry is old enough that it's like could hit kind of an age cliff. Now I think even if he does lose some of his explosiveness this year, like if the aging hits him a little bit, I still think the volume is going to be good enough. Like he just has the history. He has like the coaching staff loves him. Like I'm not too worried about like even if it would take a lot of inefficiency for several games, I think, before the coaches would be like, you know what, let's throw Keaton Mitchell in there instead of Derrick Henry. Like I'm not that concerned about it, just because he has such a built up history and he has so much trust with the coaching staff. So I think that the only real like terrible season that we could see from Derrick Henry is an injury, which maybe means I should be drafting him more, because he does have a lot of built-in safety as long as he's healthy. Tread left on the tires. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. All right, sorry, I'm still catching up. Ian says he thinks it's Trey Benson's year. I'm not sure that, like, the coaches keep saying that they're going to be splitting carries. Just James Conner's just so good. It's hard for somebody to break in there. Son of a gun. You did it. Matt says he's loving his team. Fields is somebody that I need to. I'm thinking about doing my own rankings, and that's one thing that I would do is move Fields up just so I remember that he exists. Dylan Sampson, come on down. It is a overlapping bye week, which I don't love, but love the upside there. CJ Stroud is still here. Do I need to think about a backstack with Stroud? No, I don't. I don't need to think about it. Kind of wanted Stafford. He's part of the reason I did not take Drake May the last time, because I've got Devontae Adams. Also, some of my favorite later round picks now are on the Rams. I've talked about it a little bit. I'm super into Tutu Atwell. I just think the coach speak is really positive on, we think he's going to take a big step this year. We need to give him more work. Like, I think the Rams are just really high on Tutu Atwell, and like his yards per route run were really strong last year. So I think Tutu Atwell is just a great late round pick. If I didn't have any Rams and I took Stafford, I think Whittington is a totally fine late round pick. He was efficient last year. He's going to be more contingent on an injury to Devontae Adams or Puka Nacua, but I think either one of them gets hurt. I think Whittington immediately steps in and becomes an awesome pick. And like Devontae Adams is old, Puka Nacua has a long injury history, so I think he's a really strong pick as an 18th round dart throw. I like him even better on DraftKings with the 20 rounds. And then Tyler Higbee is actually one of my favorite clicks in the last rounds right now. He's part of the reason that I'm taking a little bit less of the elite tight ends, because I only want to take 2 to 3 tight ends in general, and all of the tight ends I like, it seems like, have that week 8 bye, including, so that's Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, and then Tyler Higbee, Elijah Arroyo, the later players I like. But I really like Tyler Higbee as a late round pick that people aren't really doing that much. And all the coach speak, I think people are really buying in on Terrence Ferguson, but all the coach speak is like, he is going to be the heir apparent to Tyler Higbee when Tyler Higbee retires. Like when Tyler Higbee's done, then Terrence Ferguson is going to be the heir apparent. They seem to be pretty still all in on Tyler Higbee. Sean McVay recruited to him as like the glue to the offense. Like all of it is like, he's still the starting tight end there in an offense where he's succeeded in the past. So I think that he's a pretty strong final round pick. So yeah, I like having some Stafford for those later Higbee. How many total drafts do you anticipate doing? Do you mean like I'm gonna max out BBM? Total drafts for the year, probably did like 600 last year. I actually would guess more this year because I just maxed out rookies and sophomores. So maybe we get to 700 or 800 this year. I guess across both sites, it's possible I get to like 900. I might get to 1,000. If you mean on this stream, I'll probably do one more after this one. 3 versus 2 quarterback, I prefer 3 when I can get it. But if I get an elite quarterback, if I go like Jalen Hurts, one of the top 4, I might not go 3. Yeah, mid-5th round Hampton, that's amazing. It's got to feel good. I am drafting Miles Sanders on when the team makes sense. I have a fair amount. Oh, who do I want here? I don't think I want Kyle Pitts. See, I want to save one of these. I do need a running back. This team's a little weak on running backs. Could have gone Roche on there instead. Did Jerome Ford already go? I'm not going to do it anyway. Okay, he went. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I go Roche on here. Again, I'm just saving some of those tight end spots. All right, still trying to catch up on chat. See, I am drafting, like I think I probably have 20% Miles Sanders right now. I think I'm just, I think I'm the most common feeling about Miles Sanders is my feeling about Miles Sanders, which is I'm waiting for somebody else, for like better news for some other running back, so that I can stop clicking so much Miles Sanders, because I do think that he's a pretty good bet where he's going. He just could be the starting running back on the Cowboys, could be just or splitting work with Javonte Williams, and he's going too late for that potential role right now. But as we get more late news, oh man, we got a couple votes for Lovin. This is how far behind I am, I guess, so I got to catch up. All right. Oh yeah, everybody's saying Loveland is the pick. Yeah, just ruined the draft. I'm dead now. Yep. All right, I missed it. I was too far behind, apparently. I saw one person say David Njoku for sure, and then everybody else disagreed. Yep, Higbee. All right, we're all... Yeah, Higbee, very great pick in the Eliminator, in my opinion. Debro, I should give credit. Derek Brown brought him to my attention initially, and then just like reading the Coach Week Index, like, yeah, you're right. Like, all the Terrence Ferguson people talk about him all the time and kind of scared me off him. But no, all the Coach Week is like still Higbee's team, actually. Isn't... Actually, I'm gonna pull up the draft here because I'm almost on the clock. So I will talk about that after I make my pick. We're almost caught up in the chat. Keenan Allen, I think he's a strong pick. Yeah, I should have played around with these a little bit before I started, because now I'm a little bit lost. I don't hate Darius Slayton here. I guess this could be a 3 tight end team, so maybe I'll take another one here and then in the 18th round. Let's see. Because this team could be good at running back with Saquon, Kenneth Walker. Might want some upside dart there. Elijah Arroyo is here. I'm glad to see they actually did move him up pretty significantly after my video talking about how I thought he was going to be moving up and the ranking sets are going to move up. They actually did move him up pretty significantly here. All right, I'm just going to do Higbee here, I think. And then think about what I need for the final pick. Could do another tight end. Probably that's what I should do. Could do another running back, though, if I don't love the tight ends available. All right, so getting back to the chat. So I think the difference is Keaton Mitchell has like 0 standalone value, whereas Trey Benson might have some. Like, because based on what the coaches are saying, they want it to be more of a split backfield. So I think it's Arizona might use Trey Benson more often than we're anticipating this year, whereas Keaton Mitchell is just probably not going to have much of a workload as long as Derrick Henry is healthy and Justice Hill is healthy. I guess he has a couple like shots at getting there. Maybe if Justice Hill gets hurt, he would step into that third down role. I'm not sure. Probably a better pass catcher than King Henry, at least. But yeah, I think he just doesn't have a ton of standalone value, whereas Benson, he might not. I think it's possible the coaches are lying to us and it's still just James Conner, but I think he might have a bit more standalone value. This would be, yeah, like the Broncos last year is like, it could be just Javonte Williams in the same situation again, where it's like, yep, nobody really hit. Just like they split the backfield so much that there are no hits in the Dallas backfield. That would be unfortunate, and it's certainly a possibility. Damn, Jaypreet says, is 84% Jordan James, 48% Will Shipley too high for handcuffs? More so on 19th, 20th round for 84% James. I mean, it's risky. It's very risky, but I think it's more okay to take those huge swings in the later rounds like that. So I have no issue with it if those are just the guys that you want to bet on. Yeah, if you're doing 1,000 drafts, like I might, I'm probably not going to have that kind of exposure to anybody. I don't know, but I've done stuff like that. I did that with Daryl Williams in CEH's rookie year. Didn't work out for me, but I think it was a strong bet. Rico Dowdle, I mean, not to that extent. I think I had 20% Rico Dowdle. Again, the year before he broke out, that's kind of my thing. I always the guys that I'm the highest on are great picks the year later, not the year I need them to be. But yeah, there have been years, believe it or not, where I've had 40% of Cervix. I've never had 84% of anybody. That's a lot, but yeah. What do you think about Chargers being able to cut Najee for free since it's an NFI injury, non-football related? Yeah, I think that is like, that could be. I think it's plausible that is the reason that they're saying more positive things about the injury than is reality. All right, I guess another tight end. Do I have a preference between these two? I guess I could just go JT. I do have the Giants, some correlation there. I'll go JT. A little bit more likely to be a better offense there, I think. GM crutches. So yeah, I think that is. I think it's like a little bit more likely that they cut him and that it's just the Hampton show as a result of the non-football injury. Like if he does not get going soon. So yeah, slightly bullish for Hampton would be my interpretation of that. Yeah, it could be a little bit projection, but it's also just what the coaches are saying, that they want it to be more of a split backfield. How many slows do we have going? Let's see. Here's all the ones I'm on the clock. And then here's the ones that I'm still going. So I don't know the actual number here, but it's a lot. It is a lot. A lot of these are rookies and sophomores, so it's short drafts, and they'll be done within the next day or two. So I wanted to max that out. I think it's like one of the biggest edge contests. I actually haven't done any Badge Bros brawls yet, because it started when I was doing DraftKings week. I wanted to get through the rookies and sophomores. That's a really fun contest. But yeah, I'm going to get into another BBM right now. This is going to be the final BBM of this stream. If you want to join, hop in. Yeah, this is probably the most I've ever been in, to be honest. Because I don't super enjoy being in this many. It's more just I really wanted to finish those rookies and sophomores. It was getting towards the end, and I didn't feel like doing all of those fasts. I'd probably already done 100 fasts at that time, 100, maybe I did more than 110, 120 fasts. And I was just like, I'm tired of this. I just want to, start doing some slows. Crutches says, did 50 plus Badge Bros brawls. Nice to do before camps is mostly. Yeah, it's true. Did you do, so one thing that the other thing that I did with the rookies and sophomores that I think can make sense for the time box contest, which, I mean, Badge Bros brawls, I don't know how time box it is, but then just like entering a bunch of slows at the end at this point in the year, I think makes sense as a time box contest is closing. Was kind of one of the things I was thinking with the rookies and sophomores is maybe we get some news that like some player that doesn't go drafted for much. Oh, it's fast only. Okay, yeah, so it does not apply to Badge Bros Brawl. But if getting into some of those time box contests, just entering a bunch of slows at the end, because then you can get some news that like players become viable that nobody drafted in the first 96% of the drafts. So I kind of like doing that angle a little bit sometimes. We're in the 10 hole here. All right, I talked about liking the 10 hole. I don't know if I'll like it as much in a room with a bunch of people who are hearing me talk about what I like, but it's a spot that I like. We got a lot of the same names here. Losomo's in here again. HS Zoo. Good to see y'all. I'm guessing anybody who wanted to get in had a chance here. You don't want to do any more slows after August 1st gets too hectic. Yeah, I mean, I should probably start entering a lot of slows right now so I don't run into the when they move the clock to like 4 hours and then 1 hour being too many then. So I need to be honestly entering a ton of Best Ball Manias today, which is part of the reason, as I announced, this is probably the final stream of my consecutive streamed Best Ball Manias. I'm probably this is number 175 in a row. I'm probably done with the streamed. Well, in the consecutive, I'm still going to be streaming them, but like this will be the end of the streak this draft because I need to enter a bunch of slows if I'm going to finish this thing. Yeah, exactly. Who says I'm doing a bunch of Arroyo and these Chihuahuas I still have open. I've been taking him in some of the rookies and sophomores because like that news came out when the contest was 90% done or something. Which he didn't become like a slam dunk pick, but he's going to be a low owned pick in the contest, and he's still like he's a good final round pick anyway. All right. Do I go Malik Neighbors or Amon-Ra St. Brown? I just did Amon-Ra St. Brown last time. I'm going to do it again. I feel like I usually go Malik Neighbors over Amon-Ra. ETR likes Amon-Ra a lot better. I think this would be the Mathology approved bet on the better offense. So I'll mix it in a little bit more, I think. Oh, I wouldn't mind getting Achane there. Drake London is not a bad pick. Let me look at here's where I could take Henry. But again, I'm going to do so many drafts with people telling me who they want. How about I just take some of the guys that I want? I did like Bowers there too, but again, trying to build in more late round tight end with some of those that I like. Yeah, Pete. I've been pretty close. I said I had 100 open 2 years ago going into the opening day. The last 2 days is nothing I ever want to do again, and I only missed like 10 picks. Yeah, you get hit with like every minute you're on the clock again, and it's chaos. I forget about that sometimes, the chaos of the slow draft slate. So I'm probably going to start some eliminators too. I know I've preached that I think it's best to enter late, but at this point, entering slows, like getting into the final rounds, is going to be mid to late August anyway. And I want to get 150 in. I know I've talked about this with Crutches. He does a lot of them early also, because you can't really save all of them anyway. It's pretty tough. Yes. Always drafting best ball on streams. Carter says, I actually wish I did all early elims this year because I did more robust RB this year versus punt RB last year when late would have been good. All the late picks were tight end and stuff like Damian Slayton. So yeah, I'm glad I'm holding them. Even with as I've said, I think it's possible that what we saw the past couple of years. So like the data that I've read seems to suggest later is better in general. Like for me, from an average standpoint, like you're gonna teams score more weeks 1 through 14 when they're drafted later, and they have a higher like 99th percentile hit rate, just based on the Jack Miller data. But I do acknowledge that that's small sample size. It's possible that this year is an exception. We've already got J.K. Dobbins, Dylan Sampson, Jerome Ford. A lot of players have moved up that you can no longer get in the 18th round. I still think, though, just in aggregate, I think I'm happy to save those, and I think my team's going to be better because I wouldn't have taken Dylan Sampson every draft. I wouldn't have taken J.K. Dobbins a ton anyway. So I think I'm okay. I'm okay with still doing them all late or almost all late. I've done 4 of them to hit the Underdog promo. And in part because I wanted to see what the sidekick sims would give me if I just I want to see what would show up at the top of the sidekick sims for the eliminator, and it feel pretty good about a lot of my assumptions after looking at the sims. Although I didn't always take the top, I kind of want to do a few where I just always click the top just to see what it spits out. I've done a couple of those, and I feel like they aligned with my thoughts on the eliminator, which I was pretty happy about. But I haven't done enough to fully see what the sims think. What a guy. We just got a gifted membership here. I'm gonna make my pick and then shout it out. All right. See, this is why I like this spot, because I'm trying to get all the Omarion Hampton I can in this spot right now, just in case he does move up to the next round, to the second round. Getting him in the 3rd round value, even if it's not the best possible, just I think still a good click right here. Shout out to, I don't know how to, Zen Q7. Really appreciate that. Giving Whohames got a membership. Whohames, you can go check out my eliminator video if you're interested. 51.4. Okay, now I'm jealous, crutches. 51.4% JJ McCarthy in the eliminator. It's got to feel pretty good. And part of the reason I went with wide receivers here was knowing that there was a good chance I was going to have the opportunity to pick Omarion Hampton at the next turn. So I thought, hey, maybe this will be a better build if that does. I'll be glad that I went wide receiver early if he is available there. Could go Kyron here or Xavier Worthy. I just did Omarion Hampton and Xavier Worthy in the last one. I'm going to get a Kyron share at 39. That feels okay. Let's see. I missed some. I scrolled down there, but yeah, appreciate that gifted membership. I did have some success in the eliminator last year, which small samples. I actually made it the year before. I did 10 drafts and I made one into the double-digit rounds. So I feel like I have a pretty good track record there, and pretty good some ideas that other people I've not heard talking about in the eliminator. I think people are kind of missing some of the things you can do to give yourself better odds. So yeah, if you have one of the recently gifted memberships, you can check out the one piece of content I have behind the paywall. I'm thinking about doing rankings or something, but I have not yet. Finding with fast drafts, it's easier to keep my strategies in line. That is definitely true. You can use the star method there with the slow drafts. Yeah, I mean, I was never even high on Judkins. I never felt good about the click, and yet I still had way too much. Actually, Najee also. Both of them were players that, I guess I take them they just fell in a range that I wish that I had done a lot more, just reaching to get a player that I felt better about, because I never loved either of those clicks. I think I felt better about the Najee click. If I'm being totally honest with myself, I felt okay about that click before the injury, but yeah, have way too much of those guys, not enough of Omarion Hampton or Dylan Sampson. Now I'm catching up. Now I have a lot of Dylan Sampson. Yeah, Crushes is a draft game expert. He's crushed it. Yeah, Hampton feels really good right now. Now we could get news tomorrow that hey, Najee Harris out practicing got the pads on, he's totally fine. And I'd still be like, all right, good. I'm glad he's feeling better. I still would not like super regret my Hampton picks here. Like I think this is a range where I'm like, I'm cool with that pick anyway. I think he could just crush regardless of Najee's status, because he might just be way better than Najee. But if he moved up into the second round, then I'd be like, ooh, I really took him over T. Higgins. I don't know where the exact cutoff is for me. Pete's overweight on Kamara. I have more than last year of Kamara, which was like virtually none last year. He's just he's another one of those elderly running backs that I'm taking at a lower clip this year. 26% Omarion. I mean, crutches might just dominate the eliminator this year. Yeah, this one that is behind the paywall. That's the one video behind the paywall. Zen says, I feel like the rankings and projections element is just table stakes at this point. I agree, but also I think for the eliminator, it's kind of interesting. It's a little bit different than regular. Oh God, do I want Joe Mixon? I don't really. Could go Dunze. Is there anybody I like here? Oh, Jawan. I like Jawan. It's a little bit early for Jawan Jennings, but don't love Mixon there. Interesting. Trevion went before all these guys. Because I've already done the boring running back with Kyren Williams. And by boring running back, I mean running back that is likely to hit when I say boring. Do I pull up Diggs? No. I think it's a little bit too early. Just did that last time. Maybe I just do the Mixon thing. Yeah, screw it. I guess I'll do Mixon. Even if I don't do rankings for other people, I just like to because sometimes I'm like, I look at my exposures right now and they don't fully reflect my thoughts on players. So I kind of want to do rankings just for from that standpoint. And before I do eliminator, especially, I reach a lot in eliminator anyway. I'm not just taking the ADP value all the time in the eliminator. So just having the rankings to make that easier for me to look at, all right, this is where I'd like to take this player, this is where I'd like to not too difficult to do. But I agree, yeah, it is table stakes for sure. Yeah, I mean, this is also fair advice. I would throw, and I think I'm totally in a vacuum, but I think I'm on an island, I should say, with Jerome Ford. I think Jerome Ford is. I think I like the floor. I think I like the ceiling better than most do. I think the ceiling is just neither of the rookie running backs impresses. Judkins is out, and then Sampson just doesn't impress. And I think people are underrating the possibility that Sampson just doesn't look as good as what they're expecting, and is making a lot of mistakes. And Ford is their more reliable running back. So to be clear, I'm not I love Jerome Ford. I want to take him at pick 140, but if I can get him at 170, I feel like that's a pretty good spot for him. I think I've taken him in the 160s on DraftKings more so than Underdog though, because he's a good pass catcher. This is true. Never gotten the Najee thing. He's not like the incumbent, which just is wheels up for Amari and Hampton. But he's one of those players that coaches always love. That's the thing that I keep hearing everywhere is he does all the things that coaches love, which to me is yeah, there's probably something to that. Trevion Stan. So do you like Trevion? I guess you like him better than RJ Harvey. I've taken so much more RJ Harvey, but I think I value them almost the exact same, which might be wrong. After looking at JJ Zacharysen's rankings, I'm kind of like, I'm probably wrong about ranking them the same. I probably need to move Trevion ahead of RJ Harvey, but just like the Sean Payton offense seems like he's talented enough. And I'm not fully believing, I don't fully believe in J.K. Dobbins. I could go Mooney. I do like Pollard quite a bit. Yeah, one of these, Pollard or Pacheco, both seem pretty fine to me. I don't hate this range. I guess I have Drake London, so that should theoretically be Darnell Mooney preference. Got a Monra, I could go TJ Hawkinson, correlation there. Don't hate Pittman. We'll leave it at that for now. And this is where maybe if I had Justin Fields at the top of my ranks, I would consider, should I be taking Justin Fields here? Because is this really too much of a reach for Justin Fields? I don't think it is. You know what? We're doing it. We're doing Justin Fields. I don't have a lot of them. I like Jawan Jennings. Yeah, Jennings, I'm a fan. I think he was just really good last year. The only concern there is the potential holdout. He says he's not holding out, so no real concern with Jennings. Loved the discussion on ADP chasing yesterday. Signed a document saying he was mad. That was funny. I didn't know that Cowan went down. Pearsall, I think, is returning, though. I think they're expecting him to return any day. I think this might be true. I could have taken Diggs there. Probably would have been reasonable. Go Easy Card says, past the limiter form, I've done well with punt, quarterback, and tight end by getting my running back, wide receiver, flex position locked down. I've done some of each. Actually, I think my team that made it to week 15 last year had Lamar Jackson. I do actually like elite quarterbacks. Like the most elite quarterbacks in that, I think. But I go back and forth. I think that's one of those things that I think you can draft good eliminator teams either way. But I think overall, I want to spend a lot of draft capital at quarterback, which could just mean take 3. But I don't want them to be like 3 complete punt quarterbacks, I don't think. But yeah, I think that's one that I don't feel super strongly about, the punt versus reaching positions. Wait, what is this reference to? Do you now have to pay Pete $5 for saying in a vacuum? I don't know what that reference is. My only concern, I've drafted a ton of Houston. The concern is the offensive line mostly. Could live to regret all the Houston I've drafted. Yeah, Hampton was always him, I think. I think this is overstating it that Najee was never a factor. I think he was going to be somewhat of a factor at least. I think this is probably fair. I've always had RJ Harvey in that first tier also, but not sure that I should. Probably need to factor in the draft capital a little bit more. All right, do I want to go another quarterback here? I'm going to queue him up. Yeah, we don't have Jordan Mason here. All right. Got 2 quarterbacks. Could potentially be done at quarterback, I think, with these 2. More often, I will take a third. I hate how early Jaden Higgins goes in this, because he's just such an easy, like, click him every time in this range on DraftKings for me. Trey Harris also gone? Yeah, Trey Harris also gone. Just a totally different draft environment. All right, everybody pointed out last time that I need that week 17 game stack. Team doesn't have a tight end yet. Colston Loveland, come on down. Yeah, McMillan does. I don't have a ton of Jalen McMillan. I think I need to get on board. I don't know that I'll leave Fields naked. I like to stack up my quarterbacks in general, but it's one of those. It's like, if it makes sense, I'll throw on Mason Taylor, Josh Reynolds. If it doesn't make sense, I won't. Look at what the team needs. I did not know that Pete's podcast feed is titled In a Vacuum. Little known fact about me, I consume like 98% of my content on YouTube. I like don't click on podcasts that often. I read some. It's easier for me on YouTube. Yeah, it's funny. You can usually get RJ Harvey past pick 66 on DraftKings, where it's actually better for him also. So yeah, I think I'm more bullish on RJ Harvey again on DraftKings. So maybe adjusting the underdog a little bit. I've actually, I think, taken Travion Henderson lately a little bit more on underdog. Yes, another St. Paul Saints enjoyer. Love to see it. Yeah, what do we think of Colston Loveland? I'm pretty sure I saw Crutch's bull posting about him in general somewhere. Maybe in a Discord. I drafted him in my Dynasty League, tight end premium, that I took over this year. I've drafted a lot of him in rookies and sophomores. I guess I've been a little bit concerned about the injury. Now it sounds like Burden is still injured, but Colston Loveland seems to be relatively healthy, is what I've gathered. Is he a, like, usually doesn't get drafted in Bad Rose Ball? Dollar Tree? Tony Gonzalez. I'll take that. I guess depends on how you use Dollar Tree. I think people use it differently, but in general, that seems positive. Oh God, I need wide receivers, and just the wide receivers coming up continue to be super underwhelming. I think I'm going to do Hollywood. I know the consensus right now on ADP chasing was never Hollywood, basically. Like, even with the Rushy Rice stuff, I think I'm a little bit more like, I don't know, like when he came back last year, they targeted him like 10 times his first game or whatever. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but like they clearly seem to want to find a spot for him in the offense immediately. They were like, you're here now, we're going to get you the ball something. They kind of forced it to him right away in the limited sample size last year. So I think I'm slightly more bullish than most. And then the Rushy stuff, maybe he just has an even bigger role early on. I don't think it completely goes away later. So I don't know. I think I'm more bullish than those guys are on Hollywood. I was like, man, because of Omarion Hampton. I don't think I need to go with a quarterback yet, so I'm going to go. I don't have a ton of QJ, but I think he's still going to be a factor this year. Pair him up with Omarion Hampton. Yeah, I'd love to hear the leg up guys' thoughts on Troy Franklin. Go Izzy Cards his thoughts. Been taking a ton of Troy Franklin last round now before any positive news, bad or good. I have to IKB off him all the time with a sidekick, so he's like a pretty frequent suggestion. And I don't know. I have not been able to get myself to click him as often as the sidekick would want me to. I think partially because I talked to JJ Zacharyson. He seems to think that Devon Vele is going to beat out Troy Franklin, have the bigger role this year, that he was just the better NFL player, so it's hard to make that bet on Troy Franklin. He does have the shower narrative with Bo Nix. Maybe he does take a leap this year. But I've had trouble with that click because I'm too worried about like a zero or close to it. But maybe I need to reassess. I more often click Vele there. But maybe that's too focused on just last year, because I believe Troy Franklin came in with significantly better draft capital. I don't know. Seems fine, I guess. I have not been doing it. If the psychic tells you to do a lot, it's probably not a bad idea. Pete says there are so many tight ends you can get in later rounds that will give you comparable output to Laporta. I mean, I think that's overstating it a little bit. I think Laporta, he was pretty good late last year. So we don't know for sure what he is. Oh, you like the backstack of Caleb, Loveland, and maybe Burden. Yeah. Now Burden. Are you concerned about the Burden injury? I'm a little bit. I've drafted a lot. Cheap way to bet on Ben Johnson makes sense. Kyle Williams, so much positive buzz today on Kyle Williams. And he went at 131. I just couldn't go that far ahead of ADP, but I would have considered him. I don't know. Probably wouldn't have really until 154. But if the buzz continues to be this strong, I'm just going to start doing the Drake May double click there with Kyle Williams. I did it a lot early on in the year, so I get back to it. All right, what do I want to do here? Dylan Sampson went. Could go Tyler Rozier on this team. Yeah. Kyle Pitts looked healthy walking into practice today. So there's something. I think I'm more bullish on the later tight ends than maybe the sidekick rankings. So this is where I often IKB it off of a tight end. But I also only have a rookie right now. Maybe I should take a Strange, I guess. Sure. No, he's vacated though. I'll go Henry. Because multiple of the later tight ends that I like are week 8. Although I guess week 14 too is also Jatavian Sanders, Theo Johnson, some of those easier back stacks. So I don't know. Plenty of viable options. But I do think Higbee is currently my favorite of the 18th rounders. Index says Hollywood Brown for 4 weeks is a boon. But that's the thing. I don't think it's just 4 weeks. I think that's the part that's is being overstated right now, is that he's just for the early weeks when Rashee Rice misses. Like, I think he's going to be part of the offense regardless as the wide receiver 3. So I think I'm just higher on him from that perspective of he'll probably have some spike weeks later on in the year. Also could happen in the playoff weeks. Like, I agree that generally you want players that are going to do better later in the season. And this is not like, this is more likely to be the Rashee Rice stuff, more likely to be bigger impact early, but I still think he could still be good later. Like, he's not going to completely go away. All right, catching up. Yeah, Leone is in the computer. No, he was just here for the first draft. I invited one guest on, and he couldn't do it today. And then I thought, I'm tired of inviting guests constantly to be on streams. And I actually really enjoyed streaming by myself on Saturday. Like, after doing a week of doing streams, like, it's fun having guests and like talking with them, getting to figure out, talk about who they like. But then it's also like having the opportunity to just take who I want and talk to chat is also like, it's fun in a different way. So I thought, you know what, I'll have Leone on for one, and then I will just stream on my own, continue drafting, talking to chat, because it's pretty fun. I'm using the sidekick here. This is the sidekick. I've never used the solver for best ball. I use that. The optimizer is really, really good one, but I've never used the solver RTA tool for best ball. I'm not sipping the Dipperino on Jade on Blue yet. Actually, that's not entirely true. I think I've taken a few shares when I see him fall to like pick 155, 160. So I'm not getting myself to 30% Jade on Blue right now, but I do take him more than I had been. All right, 2552. Oh, Kramer. I didn't even realize Jerome Ford was still there, and then Kramer did it to me. Yeah, let's take Jalen Noel. I do kind of like the upside there. Need some wide receiver help. Am I good at running back? I might be good at running back here, actually. I think I know exactly what I want to do. I've got a perfect final 3 picks in mind. We're going Keenan Allen. And I'll let you know if any of the picks that I want go off the board. You're going to see the picks and you're going to be like, that was your perfect final picks? What is wrong with you? Why were you excited for those picks? But I think there are picks that make sense for this particular team. How do you like Deontay Thornton? I've heard comps to MVS, floor, or DK. I've never heard DK ceiling. I've heard that he's more like a MVS type. I'm trying to think who is the player that people always reference. There's some player in that mold of like splash play guy that people use as the comp for Deontay Thornton. For me, he's mostly just team stacking. If I have Geno, I'll throw him on there. I'm not expecting him to be like a consistent performer, but I think he's like a fine later round, hope for 3 spike weeks throughout the year kind of guy. And maybe I'm underselling him. Maybe he's better than I'm giving him credit for, but that's sort of my read on him. If we get a lot of buzz and like positive coach speak, then I can push him up. I don't think it's gonna be that tough. I don't think he's ever gonna move up to like the 11th round or something. So I think he's gonna be somebody you can get more exposure to if there is positive coach speak. But yeah, right now he's like I mix him in. I just took him with Leone in a draft. Marshawn Lloyd in 17th round feels pretty good. Charquez Hunter, like that pick. But yeah, I think I need to do my own rankings just because they like players that I like get lost. Like I would have really liked Jerome Ford with the last pick. Now he went before I got to pick anyway, but like he wasn't at the top of the sidekick. He wasn't at the top of the ETR rankings. And I do want to, have some say in what I'm doing with my picks. I have a ton of respect for both of their ranking teams, but I still want to have we all have our own flavors that we like. Mason Taylor goes. He could have made sense for my team. I like Tutu Atwell. Is Kramer going to do it again to me? Not like that. All right, Tyler Higbee. I'm on down. I was saving a spot for him. If you would like the video, that would be greatly appreciated. If you could subscribe to the channel, it's very helpful. Trying to get to 5,000. Have a little bit of a ways to go, making some progress steadily. Can hit the little notification bell if you want to get alerts when I go live. I don't think I'm going live again this week. Maybe, I don't know. I'm doing a lot of stuff on other people's channels. All right, Josh Reynolds. We're gonna stack up Justin Fields. Got enough wide receivers. Good to take an 18th round dart there. I have not loaded up my rankings or projections into the sidekick. So that's part of the reason because I need to do my rankings to be able to do that. All right, we've done 3 drafts here. Final team. I have a Monra. Actually, I'm going to read it the other way. Do I have to wait till the draft is done? Is it going to reset here? No, I think we're good. Okay. Final team. At quarterback, Justin Fields and Brock Purdy. Running backs, Amari Hampton, Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, Tony Pollard, and Tyler Algier. Wide receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Jawan Jennings, Hollywood Brown, Quentin Johnston, Jalen Knoll, Keenan Allen, and Josh Reynolds. Tight ends, Colston Loveland, Hunter Henry, and Tyler Higbee. So I have Justin Fields single stacked with Josh Reynolds. I have Brock Purdy single stacked with Jawan Jennings. I do have a bring back there with with Colston Loveland. I've also got the Hunter Henry bring back for the jet stack. So we're looking good from a correlation standpoint. I do not have weeks 15 and 16 memorized, which is why it's probably a good idea to often just do what the sidekick says. But I really should upload my own rankings so that I can remember all those things. Then it'll give me the players that I want where I want them. Let's see. Who is your biggest player stand versus leg up / ETR ranks? That's a good question. Tyler Higbee right now is one that I'm targeting really frequently. And he doesn't really show up that often in their rankings, but he's just an 18th round flyer. Let's see. Let's take a look at my drafts completed, season, exposure. And then I'll tell you, I mean, J.D. McCarthy has moved up quite a bit in the rankings. So the rankings are pretty close to where I think he should be now. I mean, Miles Sanders, Jalen Noel, those are very much sidekick, like affected. Najee Harris, so sad. The only big dog I've done had Najee Harris at pick 120 or something before the eye injury. Trey Harris might be one that he's one that I have because I'm actively seeking out getting more of him. So he's certainly on that list. Trying to think which of these guys I get more of. I mean, Justin Jefferson, I have 18% because I often move him ahead of Saquon and Bijan. I think their lists go back and forth more, and I will IKB that one a little bit. Juwan Jennings, I pull up pretty frequently. I have more J.K. Dobbins than I realized. I don't think I'm pretty low on J.K. Dobbins. I actually think he's a fine pick, even despite some of the stats suggesting he may have fell off a little bit later last year. I do IKB up to Jordan Addison pretty frequently. Stephon Diggs, similarly. Tony Pollard is actually a player that I often just take ahead of where the rankings come up. Jordan Mason, similarly, although he's moved up. So yeah, I don't have a great answer. I guess, well, it was Dylan Sampson for all of last week, and now he's kind of moved up quite a bit. So I think actually they moved up more aggressively than I did. So I was taking Dylan Sampson to pick 150, and then now Leg Up has him significantly above that. So I don't think that I'm significantly overweight. Too different from their rankings now. Yeah, thanks. Glad you're enjoying the content. Fact. So yeah, I'll have to do my own rankings. I might make them available, maybe just for the people behind. As long as you're a member on the YouTube channel, might as well put those up. I think I'm more inclined to do eliminator rankings than other types of rankings, just because there are fewer of those out there. Thanks for the mythology stream the other day, and you could have sauced the team. Do you mean in this draft or in the mythology stream? Were you in the draft and we didn't sauce it? Let's see here. Or do you mean the stream we just did? Because I don't think you were in this one. I'm much more willing to sauce when I don't have a guest on. I'm happy to look at people's teams. Which is also a benefit of sometimes doing streams on my own. Totally happy to sauce. But also during best ball week a little bit less because I have to do so many to keep up. Yeah, I was ahead on some risers, so that was pretty nice. I was also ahead on Najee Harris and Quinshon Judkins, sadly. On this note, it says it was a joke. Your review was optional in the mass stream. I do want to remind people of the homework that Mathology assigned. If you're interested in playing the marathon, Mathology gave the homework assignment in that stream of comment under the video in that stream 3 or 4 teams that you were targeting in a marathon draft that you want to target in a marathon draft, and then post that to the Discord in the Grade My Draft channel. All of that is free. The Discord is free. There are some premium channels if you want to pay, but nobody's really active in those right now anyway. So you can just join the free Discord. Link is in the description of this video. So yeah, if you want to comply with math's homework assignment, comment under that stream with 3-4 teams you're targeting in your draft, and then post the draft into the Grade My Draft channel, and then we will review that team on stream next week with Mathology, who was had the highest scoring team in all of Best Ball Mania last year out of 672,000 teams. All right, I think that is going to do it for this stream. I'm going to be on, I think I'm going on Fantasy Points channel tomorrow, and then I think I'm on a second stream in the afternoon. Maybe Todd from PA. I think that's tomorrow. Got a lot of streams on other people's channels coming up. I might stream on here on Friday, but I know for sure I'll be back next Monday and next Wednesday. Those are the two streams that right now are very consistent on this channel. Are going to be the Mondays with Math on Mondays, obviously, and then these Wednesday streams starting at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock Eastern every Wednesday. Going to be streaming some best balls. All right, but if you'd like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, or join the Discord. All of that very, very much appreciated. Comment under this video if you have anything to say, because that helps the algorithm also. Thanks, guys. This is fun. Catch you later.